Welcome to the Party Hard Summer Podcast.
Hi everybody, welcome back. We're the Bunny Hug Farmers. I'm your host, Tyler Janin. I'm here with my co-host, Dallas Leduc. We're having a ton of fun doing these. We have a great guest lined up for today's episode. But first of all, Dallas, I want to know what you've been up to lately.
Well, in the dry part of the country here, we actually got rolling with the combines on Monday, so we had a little rain, slowed us down for a couple of days. We've actually had more rain in July than we had in the 12 months leading up to July, so it's been pretty weird.
What I want to know is, did you finally realize that you just got to leave a window or two rolled down on a couple of the pickups on the farm to make it rain?
And you got to make sure you have a powerful topper on your combines, but don't close the damn thing. That also works. Don't open any drains in the combine. And yes, leave the pickup open in your most favorite half ton that you've babied and just let it get rained on for a day or two. Yep, that's a given. So I figured out this rain thing, and so I'll be good next year. I know we're going to get a pile of rain.
You're just going to leave the windows open on every vehicle in the yard, I take it?
Oh, yeah. Let the cats jump in there and do their thing all over the steering wheel. Oh, good times, good times.
Well, you know what? That's cheap considering what it costs to put moisture down.
When you go an entire year and have less than 2 inches of measurable moisture, I appreciate the cat piss. I mean, that's how freaking dry we were.
That doesn't sound like fun at all, no. But I'm glad you're finally catching some rains. It's not the greatest timing being now that you're combining, but I guess you got to take what you can get, right? Well,
and we're lucky enough. We start early and we cover enough acres. We're spread out and we're just never been efficient no matter how hard we try. We have probably 4,000 acres on our farm that this late, all throughout July rains are really going to make a difference on. So that's going to be awesome.
That's good.
And I know you got some welder flash going on there. So you want to let me know what you've been up to?
Well, what I've been up to lately is, if anybody knows pull behind swather canola rollers, they're not built the heaviest and they like to fall apart. And if you run them over with a swather, they tend to get bent. So we have a fleet of them. We got a fleet of swathers on my family's farm. So we thought, well, why don't we beef these up a bit? So I've been working on beefing them up, putting a wishbone across the top and welding them in. And you'd think that you could weld one together, but figuring out them angles, once you get them figured, you're away. But taking the time to figure out those angles and actually make it look like it's a piece of manufactured and not something that you just bubble gum together, it takes a bit of time. But like I said, once you get it together and you get going, it's not that bad, but still takes time if you want it to look like something.
And you were fortunate enough to be able to steal kind of a pattern from the neighbors, right?
Yeah, the neighbor had one it's a newer model, so it has all these updates done to it. So he only lives a couple miles away, and he's, I straight cut everything, so just take the thing and bring it back whenever you get it done. So took some patterns off of it, copied it, got our first one built, took his back, and then we had our own pattern at home. So did that, and then also we run conventional combines on my farm. So anybody that knows, if you run a conventional combine, there's no reverser on the cylinder. Sometimes you can plug them really tight. They carry their own wrench on them, but we've bent them on our combines because we've had such tough plugs. So here a few years ago, we got a big wrench that's solid steel, like impossible to bend, and then it's got a snipe on it. It rides on the grain cart. We call it Big Ugly. And we were playing ourselves out with that, and we have some operators that are getting a little long in the tooth, so it's a lot to ask of them to be able to push on that. So we got a hold of Arnold Innovations. They make a wrench that rides on the combine. You got to manually put it up on the part where your wrench hooks on, but it's got a hydraulic cylinder on it. So now we have a hydraulic reverser on our conventional combines.
Would be a back saver.
That's the idea of it. And we got them coming. We thought it was going to be, this is going to be a lot to put on. And really, it's 4 or 5 bolts that holds it on. And you just tie into one of the hydraulic lines that runs your feeder house. So there's not a lot to it. It's more, there's not as much to it as you think there is.
Oh, yeah.
It's fairly simple. And from my understanding, it's built by a farmer who injured himself unplugging a combine.
That's true farmer ingenuity. You're yanking down the wrench, you fall flat on your ass, you get up, you kick, you scream, you yell, you curse, and you go to the shop and you build something better. That's just farmer ingenuity all day long. F this, I'm going to make it better.
Yeah, and they're just out of Decker, Manitoba, so it's a prairie-made thing, a Canadian product, which is awesome. As we talk a lot on this podcast, we love supporting Canadian-made stuff.
Damn right. And I know our guest is a huge fan of Canadian made. I'm honored to introduce my buddy Dixon Delorme, aka Quick Dick McDick. Welcome to the Bunny Hug Farmers Podcast.
Gents, thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for making some time for us. I know you're busy. We're all getting into harvest here, so we appreciate you coming on. And we've been trying to work around yours and ours and everybody's schedule. So thank you.
Like there's no schedule harder to juggle than farmer / rancher people kinds schedules.
You
man.
skipped
There's
comedian.
lots going on.
People kinds.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me, guys. It's it's good to we've been trying to get this together for a long time. We finally made it work out here. I got this is like my tiny little window between like show season and harvest and everything, where like we wanted to pull in bulls yesterday and today here, whatever. And yeah, there's like a 2-week gap here where you get caught up on everything. So I'm glad we could finally make it happen. It was good to run into you guys at Ag in Motion. It was good times. Yeah.
Oh, yes, we shared a little bit of time in the Mandanko booth together.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm pretty lucky. They treat me so good. They ask me what to do, and I just say, jump how high. I'll do whatever you want me to do. I can't jump. I'm pretty ground weighted, but I'll try.
That group's fantastic, and like you guys are talking about made in Canada stuff or whatever, and like the way that Mandanko and I actually wound up getting kind of teed up with each other was I was actually doing a YouTube video on the gun ban, and I just in one scene I happened to be pulling a Mandanko roller in the background, and they just kind of reached out to me. They're like, "Hey, do you like that roller?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's really good." They're like, "Hey, well, I'm the VP of marketing. Do you think you'd maybe want to like do an ad for us or something?" I was like, "Hey, yeah, what the hell, right?"
And the years go by, and the rollers and the storms show up.
Yeah, the rollers, the storms, the field sergeants. Yeah, we got to get the ready arm going though. But I think that's probably the smartest thing they've ever done, Dallas, is they've never actually like got me a ready arm and a mower out here, because I tuck my jeans into my cowboy boots every morning when I wake up, and they know where I'd take that mower, and they're like, "Yeah, you know what? We'll just stay with what we got."
They brought me a ready arm.
Yes. Well, like you guys have no trees down there, you know what I mean? So it's safe. They know I'm taking that thing right into the bush, right?
Yeah. The arm might take it. Let's hope the brush hog behind it will. Or whatever it's going to be pulling.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely.
But, a lot of people know you as what your stage performance as. But I'm curious to see a little more on your history to begin with here. When you grew up, you grew up a son of a pasture manager, right?
Son of a cowboy. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, actually. So yeah, but like he's in my videos sometimes. Big Mustache Al is my dad. Yeah, but like dad was he's part of the dying breed almost kind of thing. Just a straight up 100% cowboy.
Nothing like Big Mustache Gord.
Yeah, no, that's medium mustache gourd.
Medium mustache gourd, yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you gotta acknowledge him correctly there. But yeah, just got to grow up doing the best things, cowboying, riding, roping, all that good stuff or whatever. And it was just a great way to grow up. And yeah, we moved to the Tufnell area, and I believe it was 1986. And Dad started managing the PFRA community pasture here, and he did that. I started school here in Foam Lake, and finished school here. We never moved after he got here, and it's just a great community, a great place, and I got to spend pretty much every summer just being a little cowboy, riding and roping and doing all the good stuff. And I don't know how you grow up any better. Yeah, so I was very lucky to grow up how I did, for sure.
So you say you grew up learning how to work. After finishing high school, did you go away for any post-secondary, or did you have it set in your mind that you needed to be a working man and just went away to work?
Well, no, but like it was just, it seems to be a thing that people or kids are kind of like, not to use a ridiculous word, but indoctrinated with nowadays. Like when you graduate high school, you need to go get more education. I mean, I'm not going to say education is a bad thing, but like I didn't. I had maybe planned on going to school in a year or two, and I got a job. The guy that I was working for at the time, the last couple of years I was in high school, like I worked on a custom haying crew. And well, Dallas, I mean, you've seen my show live and everything. And actually, Tyler, yeah, too, yeah. Like I talk about some stuff that I did when I was working for a guy, when I was still going to high school, and like summers I'd spend working, and I'd go custom hand and do some different stuff. You learn a whole bunch of different stuff about life. And when we finished up the year that I graduated, I was like, well, now what do I do? And he kind of got me a job with one of his kids that worked out in the oil field or whatever. And I went out and started working oil and gas in Brooks. And it was great. You were just learning new things every day, and something new was happening all the time, and you're making good money. And like, it was just a really cool time. But it's never seemed to matter where I go or what I do from then on. If you've got a gumption to do something and you're willing to learn and you're willing to put some effort into something, we live to date, guys, in a world where you can do anything you want. We live in one of the most amazing times where there's this little electronic device everybody holds in their hand. And if you don't know how to do it, there's somewhere on the internet you're going to be able to find out how to do it, or do this or do that. And you can turn into a pretty handy guy that really doesn't know that much, but you have the opportunity to make some pretty cool things happen. All you need, as far as I'm concerned, in the world nowadays to succeed is just the drive to succeed. And I think those opportunities are out there no matter what you're doing or where you are, what industry you're in or what's happening. We live in a cool time where you can basically just do whatever you want to do. And the only thing standing in your way is yourself. And if you can give her and you have gumption and drive and you want to go and do it, I can guarantee you're going to make it happen. Unless you're trying to farm around where Dallas is, then apparently you need rain.
That's the pretty key, is you need that rain. Yeah, because Dad and I, when we actually had a neighbor had an oxen sale, it was today I was at it, and a couple little dips in the field, a little bit of water sat there, runoff water, and freaking phenomenal looking durum crop. And Dad's like, we have the dirt and the technology to grow a crop. We just need that damn rain. Because
you need that H20. You got to have it.
Yeah, H20. Yeah. So have you always been kind of a funny man, class clown-ish, I guess? Because, you are one pretty witty, smart man there. Or is that something you've just picked up more as you become an adult?
Well, thanks, man. But, honestly, it's kind of funny because, obviously, I'm in a small town, small community or whatever, and, you run into, a lot of the teachers that taught me in school and everything. I run into them quite a bit, and none of them are shocked that this is the person that would come out of me or who I am kind of thing. I was man, I was an honor student in school, and I didn't really try that much at school, but it was just good. But I was always, doing extracurriculars, and we'd go anything, drama class, anything. I would just go do it and be a part of what was happening. And none of the educators that were involved in my education are shocked of who I become. They were kind of you were kind of an asshole in school, you know what I mean? But in a good way, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, but outgoing and I've never been afraid of being in front of a crowd or doing anything. I don't know. I had really good parents. Yeah. And they just made sure that, self-confidence was instilled in you. I think that was mostly mom's job. I think dad was mostly you're never good enough and you should strive to be better. No, I'm just kidding. BMA is a great guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't think anybody's overly shocked with what's gone on. It's kind of always the person I've always been. And it's actually funny. It's being around home. You go to a few other places, if you go to Ag in Motion or some of these comedy shows and stuff where you go to places people think you're like quote unquote a celebrity or something, which I'm not. I'm just a regular guy. I'm just like anybody else. And when I'm at home, I think it's the best part of being at home. We got, Tough No Sports Days coming up here. Actually, I'm not sure when you guys will air this, but anyways, Tough No Sports Day is going to be on this Sunday. And I look forward to it every year because it's just a place where I just get to go be myself, and nobody comes and wants a picture with me or anything. They're just that's not Quick Dick. It's Dixon. He's been here all his life, and I'm just kind of a part of the community here. And it's just kind of one of the many great things that exist about this place where I live. You know what I mean?
That is the nice thing about small town Saskatchewan. I live near a town. You've been there, Quick Dick. I've been to your show, Merrifield.
So good.
Brock Lesnar, he used to live near Merrifield. He's in and out now. He's not there full time anymore, but he kind of had a love-hate with the community. For the most part, he was left alone unless there were some out-of-towners that came to the bar and he happened to be there. But it was the same thing, small town Saskatchewan. That's just Brock. Who cares?
Yeah. Exactly, right? Yeah. It's super strange. I never thought any of this stuff would ever happen to me, but like it makes dating kind of hard. And I'm a single guy, right? And like this happens. I never thought this would be a thing, but like I can't date. I can't date in my hometown, especially, but like anywhere around, because like everybody kind of knows who you are. Apparently, I have some kind of characteristic that I stand out in the crowd. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe one day I'll get it figured out.
I'll give you a hint. He's the guy looking back to you in the morning in the mirror. That's what stands out in the crowd. Yeah.
But okay, so this is like low key, and I can't disclose any names or anything. But like I was kind of chatting with this girl, right? And I'm like, hey, you know what? Like Brett Kissel was playing in Yorkton. And so like that's close by, and I'm like, you know what? Like I'll get out of town and we'll go for dinner, and then we'll go see this Brett Kissel concert, right? And we just wheeled into this place in Yorkton for dinner or supper or whatever you want to call it, whatever province you're from, how it works, right? And like I didn't realize until that night, I was like, okay, like this is kind of having a little bit of an effect on my life, because I'm just trying to have a conversation and a nice evening out or whatever. And I wasn't there for 10 minutes and boom, somebody's walking up and they're like, are you McDick? And I'm like, hey, nice to meet you. Like, can we get a picture? I'm like, sure. And then this happens a couple of times and I feel like bad Santa. You know what I mean? I'm on my lunch break.
Well, and that's it. Cause I mean, you don't think of yourself as a celebrity.
I don't. Yeah.
But I've known you for a while, and I do think of you as basically as a celebrity. But I know you as the guy I'm talking to right now. But you just can't put on a pair of sunglasses and a ball cap and blend into the crowd. It's got something to do with that 6-inch long beard connected to your face too.
Beard.
Yeah, you might have to tuck that into your shirt.
Thank you, Dallas. Yeah.
That might be 7 where I come from.
But no, like that was the thing. And off the start, obviously, this lovely lady that I was with, or whatever, off the start, she's like, oh, this is cute and everything's fine or whatever. And then like 30 minutes in, after someone's like giving her their phone to take a picture of me with them kind of thing, she's like, okay, this is getting a little bit ridiculous, right? So, and like even like, this happened the other day, and I was just like literally sitting by myself, and like I ordered some food in a bar, and I was having a beer and a burger and some fries, and like these two people come up to me, and I'm literally like stuffing food in my face like I'm eating, and they're like, "Are you McDick? Can we get a picture?" And and you know what? I was like, I just started talking to him with my mouth full. I was just like letting food fall out of it and everything. I was, I don't know. I just.
Oh, you're too nice. You're too nice. I'd definitely, if I was in your shoes, I'd be doing the bad Santa scene. I'm on my lunch break.
How can you though? I think this is one thing that I've really tried to make peace with. But how can you?
Like, I agree.
These are people that take time out of their day to watch your content or to message you on social media or to take time out of their lives. Not only take time out of their lives, because in my opinion, time is the most important thing you'll ever have, but take time out of their lives and then money out of their wallets to pay to come and see a comedy show or do something. Who am I to say, excuse me, I'm eating? If you're a fan of me and you watch my content and you're like, hey, and you want to come and meet me, just come and do it. And I'm going to put down what I'm doing. I'm going to try and say hi to you, and I'm going to try and give you some of my time, because you obviously give me a bunch of your time. And whether I intentionally meant for this to happen or not, I appreciate the fact that people get a kick out of it or can engage with it or find something in common with it. And I owe it to people to take that time and spend it with them. And I don't know how else you're supposed to look at it. That being said, if you're listening to this and you see me in public and got half a hamburger in my mouth, just give me 5. Or if I'm on a date, wait till she goes to the bathroom, then come on over and we'll take a couple of pictures.
Yeah. Well, here's a question. I mean, my social media presence is 1/1000th of what yours is.
Yeah, listen, we all know how many followers you have on TikTok, okay? So stop being modest here, okay?
Yeah, I got a few. But the very first time, I actually was at a concert, and a guy come up and said hi, which I've had before many times. But he's like, I want to take a picture. I'm like, I've never taken a picture with, somebody that likes watching my videos and stuff. So I told that, the wife was watching from the distance. She's like, I can't freaking believe this. Some guy wanted this picture with you. But people have watched our farm for years now. Watch me be
Absolutely.
me. And so this year, I was at Ag in Motion with you a little bit of time in the Mandanko booth. So I sat back and I watched how you interact, which is, I think, top shelf. And so, I guess it's a compliment to you. I copied what you were doing because it worked so well. And then it's like, I thank them for coming. I ask their names. I try to shake a hand, a picture if they want. And because you've done it so much more, I'm like, I'm just going to do what he does because he's doing it right.
Well, I don't know if it is or not, but like the worst part about that is like, so like, and you've seen, I saw it happen to you too or whatever, you meet people at trade shows and different stuff. And even at like live shows that I do kind of thing. And there's people in a line and you're like shaking hands. What's your name? Where are you from? Da, 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 and everything. We get a picture and everything. And then like 3 to 6 to 9 months later, they'll like run into you again. They're like, yeah, we met you at Ag in Motion. And I'm like, sure.
That's what you said. That's what you said the second time you met me.
It's like drinking from a fire hose,
Yep.
Like it doesn't mean that people don't mean anything to me. It's just that I used to be the best guy on the planet with names and faces and everything. And then when this all started happening, it's just like all of a sudden everything's just a blur,
But I mean,
and I don't mean it to be that way. And I'm not trying to take away from anything that anybody does or what happens, but like, it's just eventually you can't remember everybody's name, especially the boys from the colony. You know what I mean? They all kind of dress the same and you're like, well, shit, how am I supposed to pick you out from the crowd,
Yeah.
But it's just, I'm just very fortunate to get to meet so many awesome people and to take pictures with them and do our things. And it's just,
shake hands. And
this is going to happen. Yeah.
I didn't think so either to me. And like I said, I'm still nothing, but I'm having a ball being a nothing. But, and the guys from the colony, they're my favorite people to talk to. I can talk to any farmer at any time and those guys, their whole lives is farming. So that's me. So we can talk about the crops, the corn, the silage, whatever them guys are up to. I'm game to talking to them because they are good guys and they're into nothing but just trying to grow more crop.
Shout out to all my boys down on the Thompson colony there. I worked with a guy there in the oil patch for a few years that had left and then wound up going back. And anytime I'm down around Fort McLeod, Cheddar, if you're, well, I better be specific. Richard Cheddar, if you're listening, dude, I just one of my best buddies, and it's great. Every time I get to go down there and hang out, we get to tour around the colony and just say hi to everybody. And it's fantastic, man.
Colonies are a very interesting thing to go and see. I have 2 near me, and I've gone to see them in high school. They are very interesting how they work. Wow. It is amazing how they function. It's amazing how they function efficiently as they do.
Oh, yeah. And I was helping a neighbor a few winters ago, and we were moving he was organic. He bought a big cultivator. We're moving it home. I was pulling it with our picker truck, and it got dark, and we ended up blowing out another tire on this old cultivator and pulled into just the first approach and field I could find. And it was dark, and all of a sudden, the boys from the colony pulled up and, I thanked them for letting us park there. They didn't care. And they're like, well, unhook it here. It's going to get cold tonight. Bring your truck back to the yard back there. Plug it in, so it'll fire up good for the morning. We'll give you a hand changing that tire. And they're awesome,
One thing I would like to say is that one of my best buddies or whatever, his name was, you guys caught his name, Richard Cheddar, right? Well, cheddar is a kind of cheese, right? And then Richard, if you go short for Richard, it's...
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you put those together, is the most interesting name I've ever come across in my life.
Yeah, you can.
Oil patch.
And that's a question. How did you come up with Quick Dick McDick? I mean, or was that just given to you by some lady of the night?
So it started off as my Tinder username. I got no matches on that, so I changed it over. I just put it on YouTube, and it did better. No, like when I left the oil field, I kind of I got a new phone number and some different stuff. It was kind of like I kind of changed my life around. And like my name's Dixon is my first name, and anyone that's ever known me calls me Dick, which Dick is short for Dixon. It's not short for Richard; it's short for Dixon, right?
Yep.
I'm not sure how you get Dick from Richard, but I hear you got to buy him a few beers first.
Yeah.
But it's so I was getting I was going on this motorcycle trip, and I was going to I was just going to purge social media, everything. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just wanted to go ride my motorcycle and not worry about life for a little while. And then my brother was like, hey man, you kind of need to keep in touch with us in some way, shape or forms. Why don't you download Snapchat? and then you can like send me a snap once a day and just put it to your story or whatever, and then at least we'll know you're alive. I was like, okay, that's not a bad idea. So yeah, so my name's Dick. I've always been a dick. And then I was like, well, what would be funny on Snapchat? I was like, well, why don't I call myself Quick Dick? Like, who would ever look for Quick Dick on Snapchat, right?
Yep.
Well, it turns out the username was taken. So then I was like, okay, well, why don't I add like McDick on the end of it? Like, wouldn't that be funny? And so that's what I did. And then my brother snaps me back. He's like, ha ha, funny username. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And like, that was it.
And then QDM was born.
Well, like I had this Snapchat account and I ran it for a while, but I'd only like had like my older brother who would let my mom know that I was alive on this motorcycle trip, and a chuck wagon racing buddy of mine from Martinsville. That was it. There's only 2 people I had on Snapchat. And then one day I was just out with my dad cutting firewood, and I was kind of like messing around with this Snapchat story thing. And I was like, this would be funny if I was doing an infomercial for a couple of guys that are like selling firewood. I don't know why. We were just hanging around drinking beer, cutting firewood, which is what we always do. And then I just kind of started doing this and like making a whole bunch of jokes about wood and trimming your bush and a whole bunch of different stuff or whatever. And then my brother messaged me and he's like, dude, that was funny. And this chuck wagon racer guy, he's like, where did you come up with that? He's like, that is funny. And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, you got to add this person. And my brother's like, you got to add this person. And I started adding a few people. And then before you know it, like, I have no idea how many people I have on Snapchat, but I would do 60 seconds as Quick Dick every day after that, just like looking at stuff that I thought was funny and letting her rip. And I promise you, there's a day coming, boys, where that old Snapchat account of Quick Dicks is probably going to get me canceled because of some of the stuff that I put on that. But, so be it. Bring the guillotine. It's going to be what it is, right?
That's where your Quick Dick character came from then, was just messing around one day, having a few beers, cutting firewood.
Like, honestly, that's still kind of what the Quick Dick character is. Just a guy that kind of doesn't give a shit about who's watching him or what's happening. I'm just unapologetically being me and letting it rip, and it is what it is. And there's people that like it, and there's people that hate it, and I don't care. I'm just doing my thing. And there's going to be a day come, I'm sure, where people are going to be like, you know what, this just isn't funny anymore. And if that happens, then so be it. Then I'll just go back to this pesky farming side gig that I seem to have no time for anymore.
So what I want to know is, how many videos do you have in your drafts that you haven't released because you feel like it's maybe just a little bit over that line that you don't want to cross? None.
No.
Really?
No. I won't say what I said on it, but there was one that I took down. It's the only video I've ever taken down ever since I started doing this. And if I could look back on it now, I make my decision, I stick with it. If I look back on it now, I never would have taken it down. But I said a few things I feel that were a little bit too far over the line about politicians performing certain oral things on people that I probably shouldn't have said. And so I took it down. And I still stand by that decision. Like, now looking back at where things were, it was during the propane shortage in Ontario and Quebec. I want to say it was fall of 2019 when they were having a hard time drying corn and all this stuff or whatever. And they'd just done a big block on a pipeline that was going through there. And then we couldn't truck them propane fast enough, and everybody, I called it Propane East. Outside of that, I just do my thing and I put it up there. I put different content on different platforms depending on what it is and what's happening. But like, to be honest, I'm me. I am who I am. I say what I say, and if anybody's got an issue with it, that's fine. I've been considering coming up with an episode of showing people how to unsubscribe from my content, which normally you're like, hey, if you click like and subscribe and all this stuff, I'm going to be like, you know what? If you don't like what you just heard, let me show you how to make sure you don't hear any more of it, kind of thing or whatever. Right?
So you do have your fair amount of haters then.
Yeah, like to a certain extent I do, but like, I don't know. I talk to a lot of people that do like political content and whatnot, and they have an obscene amount of haters. Like, there's some Saskatchewan creators here that send me some of the garbage that they get in emails and comments and all the stuff, and I'm just like I just don't get that.
Oh, okay.
I just don't. there's maybe some people that do, but like maybe like, man, it's water off a duck's back with me. I just couldn't care who doesn't want to hear what I have to say. If they bring a good argument to the table and they're like, hey, what about this, this, and this? Well, I mean, I'll try and engage with them because it's important to engage with people that have a different perspective than you do. But for the most part, I don't seem to see the hate that everybody thinks a person gets, except, oh man, I did a video, I think I put it across most platforms where I pretended to park my 98 Ram Cummins diesel in an electrical vehicle parking lot in Winkler, Manitoba. That is one where I had people telling me to kill myself. Like, those ones usually don't come along very often, but when you piss off the EV crowd, they are a sensitive bunch. Holy man.
Considering a 98 Dodge diesel is probably one of the most efficient things on the planet compared to an EV, because
fuel versus horsepower, like you are going to want to get yourself one of those rigs, not condemn it, right?
Well,
but it was just funny. Like, I mean, it was pretty much a full parking lot in Winkler. I was down there for Thunderstruck Ag. I want to say thanks for farming tour, and I was repping Mandaco there or whatever. And yeah, they had me booked in at this Best Western in Winkler, and I come rolling up, and there's like 3 available parking spots. The 2 I couldn't get into because everybody's parked like a bunch of idiots, and it was an EV parking station only. And go figure, there was nobody in it. And I was like, it would be a good joke. So I wheel in and do this quick video on it, and then apparently instantly I'm the worst person that ever existed on planet Earth. So I guess here we are, right?
Yeah, because there's nothing worse than somebody taking an EV parking lot for somebody that wants to charge an electric car that's running thousands of miles of copper line to it, coming from most likely either a coal or a natural gas fired power plant.
Not likely. If you're in Saskatchewan, it is coal or natural gas.
And the coal is here. The natural gas, we actually import the natural gas for Swiftcart and Moose Jaw, comes from Alberta because they have an abundance of natural gas and they can just pump it here easier than we can pump it here. It makes no sense.
Make it make sense. You can't.
Yeah. So here's a question. Oh, sorry, Tyler there. Where do you see some of this social media going? Like, you've rode a really good roller coaster for a long time, and it's not crashing anytime soon. But where do you think it's going to be in 10, 15 years from now?
15 years. I don't know, guys. Like, I even look at 5 years. Like, I mean, obviously, like, for anyone that's followed along closely, like, obviously, I don't upload to YouTube specifically as much as I used to. I tried to go every Monday all the time. And like eventually it just got to the point, especially when I started doing a lot of these live shows and stuff. It's just, I get to it when I can, but a lot of the stuff, it takes a lot of time. I do a lot of stuff to Facebook in the form of reels. So like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, a lot of these different things, like short stuff that I have time to film really fast. But that, like, initially that was the original thing that kind of kicked this character off, was just shorts, right? The long form stuff that I do on YouTube, it takes a lot of time to do it, to edit it, to get it together. And like lots of times when you're throwing drone shots and a bunch of different things into a production, it takes time. When you start doing political stuff or anything else, you got a lot of research you got to do, and it's a lot, right? And I've really in the last 3 years, I've ramped up my farming side of things as to when I first started doing this, when I was just kind of low key working for a guy, and now like I'm full on farming, right? So it's just a lot. So I do what I can when I can. If I were to, you can't really do it, but I would give up YouTube, social media, everything. I'd give it all up tomorrow and just go straight up doing stand-up comedy.
Oh, really? Okay.
I love it.
Well, you were, I mean, I get a lot of my buddies with you, and I also know Kelly Taylor, who's a marvelous comedian. Oh, I've known Kelly for years, but he's so schooled in it, and he's done it for so many years. That's his career, obviously. But you picked it up, seeming to drop of a hat, and within, the first time I seen you, you're at his level instantly. So it is a natural calling for you.
I think you're giving me too many creds, because Kelly Taylor's just a awesome comedian. The guy's so good. But yeah, I like being in front of a live crowd. I think part of it's the energy you get off of a crowd. Like, I like being vulnerable. You can do YouTube and shorts and all this stuff and try and quote unquote be funny. There's going to be people that find you funny and they're going to watch, and there's going to be people that watch 2 seconds. They're like, well, this guy isn't funny, and they're going to scroll over to the next thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But when you're doing live comedy, no one has the option to scroll to something else. Like, you are it, right?
Yeah.
But the cool thing about doing live comedy, especially these places that I go, it's small towns, it's little venues, it's people that are there raising money for a good cause and stuff, and they're just out to have a fun time in their small town. And when I come and do comedy in small towns, whether it's small towns or the cities, most of the time people come from small towns anyways. I just love it. And like, I just closed out like my tour season here in Glenavon. That was last Saturday night was my last show of the season. I don't start again until October because I need to get stuff done on the farm, but I couldn't ask for a better crowd and a better time. And I tried a bunch of new stuff. And I think the last thing people expect when they come and see me at a live show is for me to just keep pulling the guitar out and doing like a parody song or something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You just keep people guessing. And when you can connect with a live crowd, it's just so different. Anybody can take all their time and retake 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 different clips on what they're doing for an upload on the internet. And if they don't like it, they can put a filter on their face and do this and do that or whatever. Do you know when you have people at their core, when they're real, is when you're live in front of a crowd?
Well, one thing that I think that's helped you with your comedy tour is you kind of base it, or the show I seen, you kind of base it on small Saskatchewan or small prairie living. Your crowd can relate to that, and it's funny.
I'll tell you what, Tyler, is like the one thing is you would not believe how many provinces you can go to in Canada and how many states that you can go to in the U.S. that are exactly the same. Like we all think, well, it's just the Saskatchewan curling rink, and this is the only place it happens. No, it's not. It happens everywhere. And I'm not the only guy that's gone to a San Francisco store in the mall back in the 90s and found a poster of Pamela Anderson as the Labatt Blue Zone girl. I'm not the only guy that's done that. You know what I mean? I'm not the only guy that discovered boobs in a Sears catalog. I'm not. There's so much stuff that all of us have done. You're speaking to a generation, not specifically a town, you know, and the generation that exists now, it's pretty easy to make fun of when you come from our generation, but back it up. And the generation before that can make fun of our generation. It's just, I don't know. I'd say I maybe call it generational comedy. And it's kind of endless. And I grew up in a time where there were some great comedians. Blue collar comedy was a big thing when I was growing up. And, you had your Ron Whites, your Bill Engvalls, your Larry the Cable Guys, your Jeff Foxworthys, Mitch Hedberg. There's just so many good comedians. And they kind of all had their thing. And I feel like maybe some of the stuff that I do is maybe a conglomeration of all of them based on what I heard when I was a kid. And then when you look at the world, maybe through a different lens, like through a different set of glasses of like outside of your world looking in. Sometimes when you're actually, I'll be sitting around talking to somebody or something will be happening. And all of a sudden I'll realize it'll just be like, wait, I'm experiencing a comedy bit in my next show right now. Like, this is actually hilarious what's happening right now. Right. And you never know where it's going to happen or what it's going to do or what it's going to lead to. But I'm just fortunate that I get the chance to go do this on my spare time, to go and share laughter with people. It's the most important thing that exists. We got to be able to laugh, because if we can't, then what the hell are we doing?
Same way. If I can make people, my videos are nowhere near it. They're not funny at all, but more probably informational and put some more information in there. But I just have a ball making the videos, having some fun, and meeting the people is great. But to get on stage like you do, I don't think I could ever get to that. I got to this through, 16 years as RM counselor, which means I had to speak in a group on a monthly occurrence, which is, for me, was hard to do as a shy little kid. And then 10 years ago, there's a little play town here we do, the Waverly Players. And the lady, wonderful woman, she convinced me. She said, Dallas, I need a man for this part. And it's one line. All you have to do is one line in the entire play. She never told me I'm a dead guy and I lay flat out on a desk dead the entire play. They're dancing around me. I'm a prop for the...
That's a pretty good starter part.
Yeah, that was a good starter. And then one buddy of mine, he has to pick me up and throw me around like a rag doll and pretend how I died and all that stuff. And then once they figured how I got murdered, at the end of the play, I sit up and...
I need to stop you for a second. Did he physically pick you up? Because you're like a big son of a bitch.
And my buddy Grady's a big son of a bitch, and he could throw me around like a rag doll. So, yeah.
All right. So I wouldn't want to mess with him. Let's just get that on.
Yeah, no, He moved me around. Oh, it was a good time. And at the end of the play, I can still do my line. Well, that certainly took long enough. And that was the whole, but that got me onto the stage and, got past my shyness because, now I'm able to do this and talk to you and make videos that, you look at a video and it's like, there's 3 million people watch this video. Like 3 million people have watched me talk to my phone. Like it's unreal.
Dude, social media is crazy, man. It really is.
Well, I got my nephew told me, he's like, I don't really watch hockey or watch TV unless I'm going to watch a hockey game with dad or whatever. But the rest of the time, everything, like you said, it's on that little device in your hand. You're watching it on your phone. And if you don't engage the video, if it's not your thing, you just swipe by. Or if I get to a video and it say paid sponsorship or whatever, most likely I'm just swiping by that one anyways. But
it's hilarious. I usually open up social media just to like check my account or post a video or something like that. But the TikTok algorithm specifically is dialed in. It is dialed very in to make sure that the viewer keeps their face buried into what they want to see. Because every time I open up my TikTok, I don't even know what it is, but it's this cowgirl with long blonde hair that never shows her face with a massive set of jubblies and a really nice bum that just kind of like dances for 20 seconds. And I'm just like, how does it know what I want to see?
Well, I'm the same. I'll send one of my farming videos to a buddy of mine, and he's like, you just ruined my TikTok feeds. Now I have farming content on my titty talk, because that's what he goes there for. He wants the chick with the jubblies. And he's like, oh, now I got farmers on here. Well, this is no good, but I'm not the algorithm he wants to look at. So, okay. Yeah. Sorry, buddy.
And then you get over into Zuckerberg's world on a Facebook or whatever. And I'm like trying to rip through and see what's happening on Facebook. And well, it's got to figure it out too, because like you can tell like it's AI that has got like this hot farm girl that's covered in mud that's got milk cows in the back. And you're like, this is AI. And it's just like, farming isn't easy all the time. And I'm just like, I know, right? Yeah. And, man, you are beautiful. You know what I mean? That's like, yeah. Chalk it up for the algorithm, boys.
Yeah. And that's what I've noticed. My TikTok algorithm will kind of align itself with my Facebook algorithm. All of a sudden,
they're all listening to us. Like all of them do.
Yep. I got the tractor guy on one. I got the tractor guy on the other. I got Growing Corn 2020, and I got Tony Reed on the other one. It's like it's the same guy. That's my algorithm.
It 100% is. And but at this point in time, I'd also like to thank the algorithm because, there's a whole bunch of wives sitting around drinking wine together one night. They're like, I don't want to have to do all this stuff. Sometimes I just want a little bit of quick dick from my husband and then I just want to go to bed. And then all of a sudden, I'm on their channel.
Yeah, just a little quick dick.
Hey, so so creds to the algorithm sometimes, right?
Yeah. And even if you're sitting around a campfire and you talk about the dumbest things, and it's like, and all of a sudden you scroll the algorithm, it's like my phone listened to, even when I'm not on the social media, your phone is listening to everything you are always saying. So right now my phone, I'm wearing a headset, so my phone's going to be all over the map because it's just reading what I'm saying. And it's like, oh, I'm afraid now for tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Okay, so I realize that you guys are supposed to be asking me the questions, but I'm going to ask you a question now. Why'd you call it the Bunny Hug Podcast?
I wanted to have something that said, we're Saskatchewan farmers. And, and I always wear almost all the time in a bunny hug unless it's hot like the Sam's of hell like it was today. And so I thought, well, what says a Saskatchewan farmer? And we started this whole podcast right after Christmas. And I was curling out there and a buddy of mine was on the other sheet and he got a brand new bunny hug. And his bunny hug said, this is a bunny hug. And that's all it said in the front. And I'm halfway through the curling game. I'm like, I'm going to call this podcast. I'm going to run by Tyler first, but we're going to be the Bunny Hug Farmers because nothing says we are Saskatchewan farmers more than Bunny Hug Farmers.
Yeah.
We did have some other names we threw around, but that was the one that sounded the best.
Yeah. And Tyler rarely ever wears a bunny hug, so he's kind of a button-up shirt guy.
You guys realize that bunny hug's the dumbest thing ever.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
I've seen you, right? Have you ever tried to hug a bunny?
Yeah, no, they don't like it.
Like the wild ones, not the ones you buy.
They scratch and they run away.
Scratch violently.
Yes.
They're very vicious.
But it just come up. I just wanted to say Saskatchewan farmers. And I wanted something to be catchy.
Makes sense.
The Prairie Farm Report was already taken. So.
With Bill Wilson,
Bill
right?
Wilson.
Bill Wilson.
Bill Wilson.
That's
Yes.
one show I wish they'd bring back.
Like I think every person that grows up on the prairies actually like knows the intro music, right?
Yep.
There's intro music that you get to know when you grow up in like rural Saskatchewan. One of them's the Prairie Farm Report. The other one's the Littlest Hobo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a voice.
Hey,
Keeps on calling
me down
But
the
then
road. That's where I want to be.
There's also the Raccoons.
Yep.
Darkness falls, keeps on driving you alone. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I won't even ask you guys to sing the Circle Square song. Yeah, see, it's because it was at like 6 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday, and you really don't remember it anyways. You just know you had to be up because it wasn't a school day.
Yep.
So
I've even referenced the odd time, though, in a few videos, Bert. And people are like, what do you mean Bert? Bert Raccoon. For me, I think it's funny as hell.
no.
Now that you have a social media presence, do you feel responsible now that your voice covers across most of Canada?
That's actually a really good question, man. Yes, absolutely. You need to be very careful. And when this first started taking off, I maybe wasn't as careful. A lot of it was, and a lot of it still is opinion of what I do, kind of thing. But you might notice in a lot of different things that I do, I'll have articles referenced and a link to the article and the description of the video and a lot of different things going on. I'll talk to people that were involved in certain, instances. I did one called Criminals in Canada, where a gentleman named Orland Peterson was actually shot on a work site north of Prince Albert. And, I even referenced capital punishment in that episode. Talked to Orland's son, who is actually a member of the Prince Albert City Police, a few other prosecutors in the province. And before you talk about the justice system, you need to make sure you have an understanding of it. Because when you start doing a lot of these things, some of them that get upwards of 500,000 views or something like that. You don't want to have a platform where you're just like, here's what I think, and you pump people full of a bunch of stuff that's maybe not 100% true. It's very important that you're careful with what you say, not so much socially what you say, but that what you're saying actually has merit and background and is fact-based. It's very important, because I'm not here to just try and rally up a crew of people to coup something or whatever. It's like, hey, like, here's the facts and here's what's happening and here's my opinion on it, right? So it's very important to know what you're talking about and what you're going to say to people before you actually say it. It's fine to say something at Coffee Row where it's not going to go anywhere, but all of a sudden when you have a large audience of people listening to what you say, it's very important that what you're saying is true and factual. And if you're going to have an opinion, to base your opinion on facts versus, glamour that exists in media kind of things. Yeah, it's a great question, and I'm very mindful of what I say. 100%.
And that's one thing my wife said when I got larger into this, and I can swear like a sailor, and that's pretty natural to me. But she's like, keep it classy, keep it so everybody can watch it. And I think in a couple of thousand TikTok videos that I have 2 F-bombs, or 3 now, because I got one from CK
Hold
Farms.
my beer, Dallas. Hold my beer. I got you on that one.
Yeah. But that's just something that was my own choice, which I'm happy I did it my way. But I have so much fun doing it. One thing I like about the TikTok side is I made a video about a stick and a string, how we loaded the air drill. And before I was done loading the air drill, I had the video already edited and uploaded from on top of the tank. It's just because it's so quick and live. It's just, and you're at it. Sometimes there's some great YouTubers out there, and guys I call my friends, and I love watching their stuff. But it's 3 weeks old before it hits my phone. I make a video about loading the air drill. People have it on their phones before I'm done loading the air drill. Sort of thing. Yeah. That's what I get a kick out of it.
That's probably why you got most of your barley seed on the ground, but I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Tyler's the barley guy. I'm the pea and lentil guy.
Aren't you guys fancy with your divisions of the farm?
Oh,
yeah. It's and like that. Like that's the thing. Like there's some of the stuff you do that it's just fast. You put it together and you put it together in the order that you do it and you upload it, kind of thing. When I do some like it's cutaway productions. So when I do some of my like YouTube productions that are longer productions, I always go back to the one I did where I took people through an entire season of growing oats, and then once they're out of the combine into the bin, actually, because we have grain millers right close here in Yorkton, and Terry Tyson and the group there at Grain Millers were fantastic to deal with. And I was just like, hey, I just kind of want to show kids the process of what happens when we unload oats there. That specific year, we hadn't contracted any oats to grain millers, but they were just like, just come through anyways kind of thing. So wheeled through and like pretended like we were unloading oats there, and then went through the whole processing facility, because they actually like just an hour down the road here, they process oats right into food grade cereals and, large flake, slow cook oats and everything. And when you put a production like that together, and like, I'm just a hillbilly with a cowboy hat that's trucking and trying to raise cattle and farm and everything, and you're trying to do this. I was delivering canola to Yorkton that day, and I'm stopping being like, hey, we're growing oats, but we did grow oats that year. We just didn't sell them to grain millers. We sold them to Viterra, who turned around and sold them to grain millers, but don't get me started on that. But like, to go through and you do all this stuff, and like, it was, I think altogether the 2 episodes were 22 minutes. There was like, I try and do 10-second clips. Like there was over 220 some odd clips that I put together to bring that together. And when I do cutaway production, whether it's talking about politics or any of this stuff, I'll go to here and I'm doing something here and I'm saying this, and I'll go to here and it's nighttime and I'm saying the next thing that I should be saying. And then all of a sudden I cut away and I'm sitting on the shitter and I'm saying something. Like,
those blow me away. That quality of doing that blows me away.
Like, you got to be organized, and you got to know where your clips are, and you got to be able to stitch them together and make them work good. In my opinion, it's a great way to keep people engaged, because we have a society now that's got a very short attention span.
We're all 10-second toms, like off of 50 First Dates.
Like, if you sit there, and nothing against even what we're doing now, nothing against anybody that listens to podcasts or does all this stuff, but like, eventually people are just like, if they're not intrigued within 10 seconds, they're just like, you know what, I've had enough of this, and they'll, like you say, scroll on to the next thing. But if all of a sudden you're changing your background every 10 seconds, something different's going on, all of a sudden you go from me in the daylight running a combine to me at night plowing snow or something like that kind of thing. It's just, it keeps people intrigued enough that things are changing. At first, they might just be more interested in what's happening in your background. But then by the end of it, when it all keeps changing, they've kind of low-key listened to everything that you've said. And now all of a sudden, maybe you have 1 or 2 people out there that have been watching that are just like, well, shit, I didn't know that's where oats came from.
Yeah.
And that video itself, like, I don't know the man hours I had into that video that I did on the 2-part oats episode that I did, but it all made it worth it when there was one random lady from California that sent me a picture on Facebook Messenger of her kids laying on their stomachs on their living room floor, eating overnight oats, watching my video on oats. And she's like, I don't know how you came across our algorithm, but we had no idea that this is how oats were grown. We had no idea this is where oats came from. And the kids watch the recipe, and I have to make it. She's like, I have to make it at least twice a week. And when they eat them the morning after we make them the night before, we watch your video in the morning, and that's how they start their day. And you know what? If 2 kids on the face of this planet now know how oats are grown, can you ever put a price or a value on the time that I spent making that? I don't think you can.
No, I agree. And that's one thing I have actually in my little notes here is the little quicks, because my daughter, she's only 11 now, but when going through your videos and get to a little quick one, and that's like, hope you got to come watch this one, and she's like, oh, and she's like, same thing. She's like, oh, that's cool as hell. Because you can wrap it up and you can be quick dick McDick, and all of a sudden you can really change it and come down right to educating a 10-year-old on where oats come from and how you can turn them into overnight oats and one of the most delicious breakfasts on the planet.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of flipping a switch, but at the same time, it's just I don't know. I call it the quick dick variety show. Sometimes we do a cooking show, and sometimes we're doing this, and sometimes I'm bitching about politicians, and you just never know what it's going to do, and it is what it is. And I'm fortunate to have people follow along. Yeah, I really am.
But kids in agriculture is also huge. They show the kids where this stuff comes from and how it is, because you go into the city and you're in a concrete jungle that has a little bit of grass next to the sidewalk if they're lucky, and that's it. And some people never leave them boundaries and don't know anything about how it's brought to them, what it is, or anything. It's just amazing. I've been to the city. I go there. I go to hit the Olive Garden, and I go home because I've had enough. But some people, they live for every minute of their life to be in a city.
Yeah, guys, it's not just kids that are in cities that have no idea where things come from. It's adults.
Generations.
We live in a world that's very detached from where everything comes from. I was just as guilty, to be perfectly honest. I grew up on a ranch. I knew what happened with beef, and I kind of know what happens with crops. When you look deeper into that kind of stuff, when you look at where like things are manufactured and how hard we rely on places like China to be able to give us our way of life of what we get, there's a lot of things that I've decided when you figure out exactly how things are going with the way different cotton is harvested and how some different things are manufactured, that you're like, oh, I can get it cheaper if I get it from there. Kind of the more important thing, I think, maybe that I've stumbled on where the character of Quick Take's been better for me is just the fact that I'm just like, I now have looked in and seen how we get some of these things and why we get them, and I don't agree with it. And if I have to pay more to have it made here by somebody in Canada, I'm just going to pay more. And I realize there's people that can't afford it, and there's people that can't do it. And I wish it wouldn't have taken. I wish it wouldn't have taken Donald Trump for everybody to be like, hey, we need to focus more on Canada and what we can do here, because it shouldn't matter who's running our largest trading partner, which is the US, or what's happening internationally, globally, no matter what it is you say. It should never take extra effort for us to support our own country. And I wish it hadn't come to that. And I wish people wouldn't just be like, I'm just ordering it from Temu because it's cheaper and it's easy and it can get delivered to my door. Do you realize that if you go downtown to your home hardware that's in Foam Lake, they can order it in for you too?
Peanut Mart would have had it on the shelf.
Yeah, and they'll have it exactly. Yeah, dude, just don't break my heart right now.
Again.
Yeah. You know, there's ways we can support people around here, and we need to do better at it. And I just wish it wouldn't have taken what's all been happening with the world now for people to realize it, right?
Well, and that isn't going to support your home sports team.
No, yeah, there's no sponsorship from Temu. But that's part of the thing is I've obviously followed you and been a fan for years. So when you really pushed the Canadian Saskatchewan made products, when we were looking for merch for this podcast, and I tried to hear.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, you hit me up. Yeah.
You hit you up. And then I finally settled with Little Town Apparel out of Tisdale because that's a great little Saskatchewan company. And they have merch for every small town, little grocery store, every backyard barbecue club in the province. So I was like hooked up with them. And the other thing is that they called me back. And some of them people, I guess I'm not that serious of a person. And a lot of people didn't call me back and didn't give me the time of the day, where Little Town Apparel was just snap, snap, snap. Here's some pictures. Here's some products. Here's your file. This is what it'll look like. So it's like the better, the Saskatchewan made product, perfect. I got the hats coming from a guy. Actually, the guy who's doing the hats, is he a linesman up in the oil patch? Something like that. I might be getting this wrong. He's like, when I get home, I'll make your order and ship it out to you. Like, this is his sideline job, on top of other things. I'm like, that's what I want. He's like, I'm just trying to better myself. And if I can sell a few hundred hats, I'll make a few bucks. And,
100%.
I was like, I don't want to support somebody. I don't know where he's getting the product from. But he needs to make a profit. But I want to support him as much as I can, because I'm not getting the hats direct from a factory in China.
Yeah, it's hats are the toughest thing. Hats are the toughest thing, and I found a Canadian manufacturer. It was not easy, and they're just a great company to deal with. You got to have some patience because they're not coming overnight, but that's okay. That's okay. You know why? Because tomorrow, if somebody that wants a Quick Take hat doesn't get it tomorrow, they're not going to die.
Yep.
Everything's fine. They'll get it eventually, and they'll be able to rock it and support it. And I appreciate everybody that does it. And yeah, it's just I don't make the cash off of hats that people would think I do, but that's okay. I'm not doing it for cash. Whenever we're doing merch, 9 times out of 10, what we make off merch here goes to kids sport. Anyways, it's just.
And you gave me my hat.
You bastard.
Yeah, I know. I got, believe you, the order stuff, your selection is on my order form. That's just going to show up to you free of charge. But, wait, a little bit of change of subject here in a way. How's the crop up there this year?
Yeah, we're okay. We're getting short on rain. Oats were not fantastic here this year. I can't really talk, I guess. It's easy for me to be able to look at what we got and be like, hey, I'm glad we got what we got, because I get to be exposed to different people on social media that are just like, hey, look at how things are here, and I get it. Hay crop was half of what it should have been. Oats are having a hard time. Everything else, to be honest, we look okay. So, yeah. We're not gonna bust the bins this year, but we're still gonna be. You know what? We're good, but everything's a long ways from the bin right now.
Yeah.
So the best thing that happened to us maybe is that we caught some late properly timed rains, and it helped our pasture a lot, and we haven't had a lot of stress on the cattle side of things, which is good. And anybody that happens to be in cattle right now, it's ride the wave, and we're finally on a good side of the wave, and things look good. Whatever we're maybe short on the crop side, we're probably going to be able to recover on the cattle side, which you don't get to say very often in the game here. Right? We just finished up silage. Silage ran about a ton an acre lighter than it did last year, completely due to moisture, but still we're happy with what we got. And, we got some carryover from last year, so everything's okay. Yeah, we're going to be fine.
So what do you guys do for your silage? Like that corn or oats or?
No, we do a forage barley. Yeah, so we grow. I'm not paid to endorse anything, but I'll just let you know what we grow. Anyways, so we grow Maverick barley. It's forage barley. This is our third or fourth year with it, and it's just great. It yields good. We usually average around 10 ton an acre with it. We've had years where it's went 11. We went 9 this year, but it's just for what you have for inputs versus what you get out. Good feed quality, good protein. There's a few guys that try corn around here. It's high input. It's an expensive crop to grow, and we usually wind up with close to the same tons per acre. And the great thing about doing barley is we silage what we need, and then the rest will combine and we'll roll and feed out as a ration in the wintertime. And then if you get a little bit extra kicking around, then you can sell it, right? So
does it lodge bad?
Yes. Typically it's not supposed to, but depending on what you get for rains, and we had a couple low areas. The thing about when we do silage is we're doing silage on areas that we have either broadcast our feedlot manure onto, or that we have winter fed cattle on. And that turns into a really tough thing for agronomists. We do some pretty intensive soil testing on everything that we have here. But when it comes to cattle, like clumping in different spots to eat or to gain shelter or whatever the natural effect was that was happening, they can urinate and shit and do different things like more drastically on different areas. And then all of a sudden, you have a fertilizer imbalance and you're going to get some lodging. Maybe you get a little bit too much potassium or whatever it is kind of thing. And that can be a tough thing to manage, but it is what it is,
Well, that's just cool. A little bit of silage around this area. Sometimes nothing this year. Obviously, seen in some of my videos, it was pretty dismal up until this July rain. Now, like you said, the pastures are greened up, and you look over, they went from the odd draw was green. Now the whole pasture's green. The grass isn't quite at the big edible stage yet, but it's something.
Yeah. Grass really came along here this year. I made a big change. Mark, the guy that I farm with or whatever, made big changes too. And we've focused more on cell grazing, it's been a game changer. I started running, I think I was telling you this at Ag in Motion Dallas, we started running range ward razor grazers. And it's a single rope electric line. And I shit you not, it has increased my grazing capacity by almost 100%.
Well, with the price of dirt not getting any cheaper, if you can get better use of your pasture land, basically you're turning that 160 acre quarter into 320. I mean, that's massive.
So what I've done with two places that I'm pasturing right now, I've divided them into 3 cells, and all it does is your cattle just keep doing circles, and they're gonna browse and take the best of what's there, and they're not gonna be picky enough to get into the stuff that's maybe moderately less palatable than something. They're just gonna eat what they want. But if you force them to stay in one area and actually graze, the body composition on them has been fantastic. They look just as great as they always have. And I've used a third of the pasture to get in there at this point in time, which leaves you a whole bunch of extra. And the guys at Range Ward were great, helped a guy get hooked up and teed in and set up. And it's just been, if you were to add value to anything that I'd done to the cattle operation in the last little while, like that would be it. And I'm glad we did it. And now it's got me focusing even closer. And how do we tighten this up even more? And no matter what research you look at, even you talk to Bart Laudner and a few guys at U of S, there's like this is how you do it. You get it more concentrated and you just work your pieces of land a tiny little bit at a time and don't give them an option. It's like sending a bunch of kids to like a buffet and just giving them free range to the dessert bar at the same time. There's like, well, we're just going to have dessert the whole time.
Yep.
They're like, no, you have to eat your broccoli and you have to eat your cabbage rolls and then you have to eat your Brussels sprouts. And then you can have some beef, and then you can go to the dessert. But then you're going to come back and eat all this other stuff, whatever. And that's kind of what we're doing. It's a game changer. It's really cool. But
that's what I've noticed on some pastures here. Neighbor, for example, nothing wrong with his system, but the dugouts at one end of that means he's got a 1.5 mile long pasture, 3/4, 400 and some acres. Dugouts at one end, super heavy, way overgrazed around the dugout.
Sure.
Got to move them cattle off there. He's got no grass left. Well, right where the cows are, because they don't want to get too far away from the water. 1.5 miles down the road, almost untouched at the other end. He needs to balance the system like you're talking there to get them cattle to move around and be locked in this area and graze this area down. Because, and you get water trenched, obviously, and whatever, electric fencing design. Because the cattle look like garbage because they're sitting there right near the water because they need water, grazing the heck out of whatever's left of the foxtail there. And meanwhile, at the other end, the crested wheat hasn't been touched.
Yeah, that's so that's a big thing is like how far they're moving and what you're going to be doing. And you don't want them walking far for water. It's all management, and it's like kind of one of the bigger things that my dad always taught me is that it's managing things and how much time you have to manage them, right? So I guess that's one of the bigger things when you got your grain farm and you got your cattle, you got everything, you got to try and manage them all together. Manage your own time too to try and make it happen. Yeah, there's lots going on all the time for sure. And then you got this other thing going on the side where you're like doing some kind of social media thing and making videos and stuff too. So it's all like, I think all of it is about managing time. And if you've got the time, you should be able to make anything work. Right.
Well, yeah. I know we're getting up there an hour and a bit, and you look like you've been up since the crack of 4.
Yeah, no, I haven't. What? You feel like I got up early today? I don't know what you're talking about.
I think
you're saying I look like shit, Dallas, or what?
I think you're an early riser. I know you giver.
Yeah, we always got lots on the go, but it's good. I'm a better person when I'm busy.
Well, you are a busy man. I know that. So, Tyler, any other questions you have for Dixon here?
What advice would you give to a young farmer or kids trying to make it in a rural setting?
Oh man, if you grew up like me, the hardest thing you're ever going to do is accept advice from people. I would say listen to people that have lived it. And it's going to be probably one of the hardest things that you'll ever do because you got your mind set and your mind made up in one way that you want to do it. Take financials, take everything out of it because, finances are hard. Land prices are hard. Land rent is hard. If you're trying to get into cattle, it's almost impossible to buy them and try and make a profit off it. If you're trying to do grain, input prices versus commodity prices are a challenging thing versus land prices. It's tough. But if you can navigate all those things, the biggest thing that I would say to people is listen to people that have been through it. No, we got a great guy here. His name's Bob. He's our neighbor, and he's been through a lot of years of farming. He's on a centennial farm, and the best advice I think I might have ever got from him is, it was dry and then it rained, and all of a sudden crops are looking good. I was like, "Hey, Bob, things are looking good." He's like, "Yeah, it's great, but you're always just 2 weeks away from your next drought." Listen to the people that have been through it. He's like, you think this is dry? It can get a lot drier. And you'll be driving by a slough and it'll be like, you know why there's a bunch of dead trees there? And I'll be like, yeah, Bob's because they drowned out. He's like, yeah, because they drowned out. That's right. He's like, but you know why they grew there?
So that was only moisture.
He's like, because that's the only place that there was ever moisture. He's like, when you think it's bad, it can always get worse. And like, those are just, you can listen to the climate doomsdayers and, everyone saying that we're in an atmospheric river or we're experiencing desertification due to climate change and everything, you can listen to all these people. You can just listen to somebody that's experienced it. Yep. And knows that there's ups and downs, and those are probably the most important people you'll ever listen to. So that would be the advice that I would give. I've
learned lots on that. Yeah. But one thing that Tyler and I always do here on the podcast is we are big fans of supporting mental health in agriculture, because we know what we do is incredibly stressful, and it is incredibly stressful. It is hard on men and women alike. It's hard on the bosses. It's hard on the employees. And we tend to take too much stuff home with us every time. And if you just say, I need a little help, I'm going to change the transmission in a pickup truck, often and ask for help. But if you can't handle some of the stresses that come with commodity prices, input prices, and everything we're dealing with, and you're building and balling all that up, there's help, and all you have to do is ask, and it's so easy. It's following the farm stress line. 1-800-667-4442. 1-800-667-4442. I know this in my sleep, because, it is so important. If you can't handle it, there's somebody there going to take your name. You don't have to give them your name. You can talk whatever you want to talk about. Just if there's stuff you have to get off your chest and help you get through this, there's always going to be somebody there to help you out.
100% there is, you guys. There's, Saskag Matters is a really good organization as well. There's a lot of great organizations and people that kick around out there that are here to try and listen to people that are having a hard time. You would be surprised at how many people in your community that have been through some of the stuff or are going through the same thing. We seem to live in this world where it's not okay to talk about a lot of this stuff. And I would say to anybody that's listening right now is you would be very surprised at how many people, if you're the first person to open up and be like, hey, you know what, like I'm kind of having a rough time. How many people not only are having a rough time as well that just want to talk to somebody about it, but how many people have been through something that you're experiencing? And just don't be afraid to just talk to people. People will surprise you more than you think that they will in understanding what you have going on. Like you guys said, Farm Crisis Lines is a good place. Even there's 811 in Saskatchewan, if that's what it comes down to.
That's nationwide.
Different places. Just don't bottle it up and don't keep it inside, and don't be alone, because there's a lot of people out there that are going through hard times as well. And all you need to do is find somebody that's maybe having the same kind of thing going on that you are. And before you know it, you got a few people talking. And when you start talking about things, it's very, very impressive how quickly that weight can get lifted off your shoulders just by talking about things.
Oh, yeah. And that's what we have lots of buddies. We have the same buddy sometimes. And we vent to him, and now he was having some concave clearance issues. Some bolts might not get tightened up properly. I'm not naming no names, but he was having a bad day last time I talked to him, and a very bad day. And they're going to be running for parts, and it was just a little overstep, and something didn't get tightened, and now things are stripped and broken. But so he phones up, and he just wants to vent, wants to swear and yell and curse. By the end of it, he's laughing and joking. But without me being that outlet, that stuff gets bottled up and taken home, and you don't want that. But the Saskag Matters is also free counseling service, and that's 1-306-371-7644 is also an important number too. Like I said, but if you're out there and you just do a little bit of Googling, if you're not in Saskatchewan here or Alberta or wherever, if you do a little Googling on your phone, you're going to come up with a number that's going to lead you to somebody you can talk to. If you don't have a buddy you can talk to, if you don't want to talk to somebody but you have to get it off your chest, Google, hit dial. There'll be somebody there to listen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Once again, the Farm Stress Line number is 1-800-667-4442. Don't be afraid to reach out, people. It's there for you. It's a great service.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, I know this has been a long time in the workings to try and make this work with all our schedules, because obviously everybody's really busy, but just, I've heard a lot of things from a lot of different guys about, hey, the Bunny Hug podcast, you're going to get on the Bunny Hug Farmers kind of thing. I'll be like, yes, we're trying to make it work kind of thing. So keep doing what you're doing, guys. It's making a difference, and just really appreciate you guys talking about the mental health part of things at the end of things here. And farming's cool. I hope a lot of people stay in it and keep doing it. And it really is it really is the best way of life. So thanks for doing what you guys do, and thanks for having me here. And I'm going to turn it back over to you guys.
No, thank you so much for joining us. We sure appreciate you making time out of, usually we like to do this around supper time, but your schedules and our schedules, and I was actually hauling peas in, and I was the last one to get in, and it's just been
supper time, boys. I'm going to go upstairs and eat yet. I haven't done that, so we're not quite at supper time yet.
Yeah, I snuck that in earlier. I don't miss many meals. No, it's been awesome. Thanks for doing this. Let's hope we can do one here sometime again in the future, because we can have a where are they now, or how did things go, and all that fun stuff.
I feel like we have just barely bit the tip off here with this.
Just scratched the surface.
So much more we can go into.
Yeah. But like you said, you got a fistful of emails to go through, supper to make, and it's after 11 now, folks. So we want to keep Dixon here longer, but God, we can't.
Thanks, everybody, for listening to the Bunny Hug Farmers Podcast.